Oh, you can unmute yourself. Hi guys, welcome to Real Politics Live, our Monday edition. It is now 7:30, so that means well a little bit past 7:30. Hope you all enjoyed that music. We have with us Antonio. If you want to, you can unmute yourself. There you go. Good job. We have with us TSC candidate for place 2. All right, place 2. There you go. Place 2, Antonio Guevara. How are you doing, Antonio?
We're doing well. Thank you for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be here with you guys and everybody tuning in from Brownsville and the surrounding area. Happy to be here.
Cool. Manny, we have Manny with us. He's Manning. Don't get mad at me if your comments don't go through. It's Manny's fault. Manny's fault like that.
Your comments will go through. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. We have with us Antonio Guevara. We're going to be talking about TSC and everything about his campaign, but we might be able to throw some other topics to go just to make it fun and interesting. And it should be an enjoyable. This isn't a gotcha type of an interview at all. We have invited his 2 opponents. They haven't gotten back to me yet. I've given them my phone number. Hey, give me a call. Let me know if you want to come on. And they have not called, but he has. And so I'm grateful for him to come on to spread his message about his campaign. You're going to see a lot of cool little stuff crawls on the bottom with various news reports that's going on in the news. Please be sure to share and like this feed so that other people can get to know Antonio. Yeah, and so it'll be good. So God willing, this interview will go great. Antonio, please tell us about yourself and why you're running. Who are you?
Yeah, sure. Well, let me start off by saying that, again, thank you all for inviting me here. It's just a great pleasure to be here with everybody. Let me start off by saying where I grew up. I'm not from the area. I mean, I grew up in Zapata, Texas. It's about a 3-hour drive. Still, I mean, it's a slight border town or something like that. Always had an affinity for numbers down there. So, you know, in the summer of my junior year, I started going to a community college. In that case, it would be Laredo Community College. So I started the same way that a lot of my students are starting in a community college. Was the same for me. I started in Laredo Community College, ended up transferring to Texas A&M University in College Station, and got my engineering degree. It's actually an electrical engineering degree from that area or from that university. I had a great time there. I did a couple of things like an exchange. I actually did an exchange program, went to El Tecnológico de Monterrey for a year, which was a fantastic experience. I did internships at the university. I don't know if you guys remember back in the day when compact computer was like the thing. I actually did internships and summer internships there in Houston. And then that's how I ended up here, graduated. Came down here to the semiconductor industry in the Maquila. So in '96, made my way to Brownsville, I wanted to be in close to hometown. And of course, in Zapata, Texas, there's not a lot of engineering jobs, but yeah, that meant to me like engineering operations in this area typically meant at that time, working the border. A lot of high-tech manufacturing that is occurring both in Matamoros and Reynosa, and that's how I ended up over here. Saludos a todos los que están laborando en Matamoros. A lot of colleagues that cross day in, day out to both Reynosa and Matamoros that are doing their thing on the factory floor. And then I ended up getting a fantastic opportunity. My company, it's called Little Fuse back then. They offered me to do an employee rotation to go to Irving, Texas, and learn about wafer fabrication. And I said, sure, with a caveat. And that caveat was like, you pay for my MBA at SMU. And they said yes. I'm like, wow, fantastic. Really grateful for that opportunity that they gave me to actually go to SMU for a lot of things, but primarily because it gives, or one of the reasons is that it gives me the credentials to be able to teach at the college level. And I'm certainly very grateful for that opportunity. After that, I actually got an opportunity to move factories, floors or a factory line to Wuxi, China. So as an expat, spent 3 years in China and Asia, learned a lot, a fantastic experience. My kids were born over there, which is a whole separate story there. I have a 10-year-old, 11-year-old that were born in Shanghai around 10 years ago. And, we came back. After we came back, my risk tolerance was a little bit different. I had family, I had kids. And quite frankly, so think 2011, that's when it started getting a little bit more dangerous. And again, my risk profile changed. And that's when I decided to make a pivot into this wonderful world of education, which is incredibly important. So started at IDEA Public Schools in auxiliary services, which is like all things operations. And then eventually I actually got an opportunity to start teaching as an adjunct somewhere in the 2014 range. Eventually made my way as the director of facilities at the college, got promoted to executive director of facilities and physical plant at the college, worked 4 years there, learned a lot. I know that campus like the back of my palm or my hand because, not only from the perspective in the classroom, but also the perspective as, part of the executive team, quite frankly. And yeah, after that, things lined up for me and I went back to IDEA, in which I am currently the director of operations talent development, where we do a lot of essentially what I do is I design and facilitate a lot of the training or PD for our operations team. So that's kind of like my career path, more or less, in a nutshell.
Wow. That's impressive, Antonio. How long have you been over at TSC right now? Because you're an adjunct at TSC. How long have you been there?
Well, right, yeah. So I started as an adjunct in 2014. I'm not teaching like this semester. It all depends whether or not there's enough students. I usually teach like the weekends. Like the last time that I taught was last fall, and it was a Saturday course. And it just depends. But I'm only available to teach after hours. But prior to that, since 2014 all the way to 2018, I'm technically still, or 2019, I'm sorry. I'm still an adjunct technically. I think that if there's a class that comes up, then they'll go ahead and call me. And, it's one of the pleasures and honors to be able to serve in that capacity.
Okay. And when we scheduled this interview last week, you had mentioned that you have been encouraged to run by students to run. Is that how I understood it correctly?
Yeah, it's mind blowing. So, part of what I try to do in my classes is try to have a blended approach, right? Of course, we're gonna study the theory. We're going to study about supply and demand and about profits and about revenue and things of this sort. But at the same time, I want to integrate and embed what I call the real world, whether it's through my experiences in Asia and manufacturing and semiconductors and just my life experiences. And then also this concept about college students being active, like there being political activism or just activism in general in the, on campus. So part of me was like, hey, I really don't see a lot of activism in this, on this campus. What can we do? Are you voting, doing things of this sort? What is the pros and cons and, about like going out to the polls and just in general. And I do remember on one time, I said, well, voting is like the bare minimum. You guys should be going in front of the board and exercise that leverage that you can have. And, whatever is important to you, let them know. Actually, in the board meetings, you should run for office. And that's when they said, well, sir, if that's the case, and you want us to be that, and you talk about leading by example, then what are you doing, right? So it was wonderful. It was, I was stunned, but really proud at the same time, and they were right. It's like if you feel passionate about one thing and you feel that you are qualified to contribute, then they're right. Why not? I feel like I have a unique set of credentials and qualifications. I even goes like, I think I'm uniquely qualified to serve. And so that's why I went ahead and, put my name out there. And I wanted to see how the electoral process works. How does it, file an application, the campaign finance reports, all of those things. But yeah, an incredibly proud moment that the student become the teachers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
One of the things that I've noticed in TSC races is people don't understand what it is to vote for Texas Southmost College. They don't know what the district entails. They don't understand why we even have a community college. Various things. Is there any way you can explain what the purpose is of TSC and why TSC people should vote in this and care about this election in the midst of a pandemic and in the midst of a presidential campaign? Why is this office important?
Well, first and foremost, right, we gotta so think about when you pay taxes. So you go to the grocery, look at your sales tax, think about your property taxes, think of your income taxes. And if you're a student, you're paying tuition and fees. But all of those things may not be as evident, right, initially, but all of those are what ends up funding the college. So therefore, this is your money. This is your community college, and you need or expect or deserve nothing less than someone to be a good financial steward of your hard-earned dollars. So that's the first and foremost, right? This is your community college. The second thing is that I really strongly believe that community colleges play a very specific and important role in every community, whether it's as a way to, start locally and maybe transfer out just like I did, the same experiences that I did, or maybe it's a technical degree that you want to obtain, that you want to better yourself, that's fine too. Or maybe it's something that is more like, music or art. Any of these things are incredibly important. I see my brother saying hello there. Thank you for tuning in.
I try not to interrupt. I try not to interrupt when somebody's talking, but yeah, welcome. Thanks for like and share the feed, Jerry, please. And like our Facebook page. Keep going, Mr. Guevara. Antonio.
Yes. So again, financial stewardship, the importance of a community college and what it plays in the role. And then fundamentally this concept around, a college degree is the best anti-poverty strategy that we possess as a nation. Understanding that and making sure that our community college is strong and that there is rigor and that there's all of these components is incredibly important and something that I'm really passionate about. That's why I teach. That's why I decide to teach there at that level. And, this community deserves that, this community college to be strong.
Do you believe right now, you're obviously running in an open seat. Do you think TSC is strong right now, or is it weak? Is it moderate? Is it headed in the right direction? And if it isn't, what can you do to make it it go better?
Right. So, there's a couple let's just call out. First of all, let me just start by saying that they just got reaffirmation reaffirmation for the next 10 years from the accrediting body. It's called SAC-COC. So that's a big accomplishment. No question. When I was there as a director of facilities, we, after the split from UTB, there was a lot of work that needed to get done to obtain that first accreditation. So this is a big deal, and I got to recognize, kudos, all the faculty, staff, student, administration, the community, everybody plays a role. And it's incredibly important for, that we have a community college that is accredited, that is recognized. So shout out to all the TSC staff. That is a fantastic thing that they're doing. And there's some things that they're doing that are good. They, for example, they lowered the tuition for this semester, for the fall semester, by 20%. That is something that I really, really am passionate about, lowering tuition. And both things can be right, meaning both things can be true at the same time. The TSC board has done a lot of things to lower the tuition, but at the same time, it still continues to be a relatively high tuition and fees compared to other community colleges in the state. And I just wish that we would continue to drive down that cost of college, because I believe it still represents a barrier for entry for many of our students and community members. So that's one thing. And I think like the second thing that I would really want to allocate resources, because at the end of the day, what the board members do is allocation of resource, whether it's funding, whether it's energy, whether it's staff. It's about allocating the resources in the right place, right? Compared to whatever strategic vision or direction that you have. But one thing where I think that there's definitely a gap is in our graduation rate. I mean, really the technical term I would say is called student retention. So imagine how many students go in, how many actually graduate. Ideally in 2 years, ideally in, the sooner the better. Remember, the most expensive degree out there is the one that you started and never finished. And quite frankly, when you have a student body, let's say, just to give you an example, the on-campus enrollment is roughly a little bit north of 4,000. So when you have a little bit north of 4,000 and we have a graduation, so come graduation time, we only have 400 walking the stage. That, is a number that should concern us all. It's a number that should concern us all, and it's something that we need to allocate the right resources, the right focus to be able to get better, quite frankly, because it's not just about getting students to college. More importantly, and we need to do right by our current students now, it's important to get them through college. So to and through college. So that's definitely an opportunity. I think it's definitely an opportunity where we can do better.
Right. One of the things that people don't realize is Brownsville ISD has a relationship with Texas Southmost College for their dual enrollment program. And I'm as a parent of a BISD student, I'm a little concerned with the amount of dual credit classes that our high schoolers are taking. And we're talking high schoolers that are already freshmen taking college class level classes and getting college credit. And I believe that personally that this may be inflating the number of students at TSC. Do you believe, you're a parent, all right? I'm assuming, what are your feelings about freshman students in high school taking these dual enrollment classes at TSC? Is it a good thing, a bad thing? What's your opinion?
So, dual enrollment has its place. And you're right in that the enrollment of the amount of students in dual enrollment has increased dramatically, right? And at the end of the day, it can represent a good value for a student. Now, all the way to a freshman, I don't know if they're ready. I don't know if they're ready to be able to take that rigor, because at the end of the day, you are taking a college course. So I worry about, is the rigor there to mimic, what you could expect in a college or even a university. That's one thing. And just keep in mind that a dual enrollment means that you get credits for TSC, right? Sometimes those credits may not transfer somewhere else. Mm-hmm. If they're the basics, then maybe they can. So that there's something like that. I've often been asked, like, how do you weigh a dual enrollment approach versus advanced placement? An AP class is a little bit different in that those, you can go anywhere with those, right? So having said that, we're all members of, if your intention is that you're going to go to TSC, maybe you can get the basics out. That's certainly something that I did when I was a junior there in Zapata High School. I did take some college credits, and those credits, I was able to transfer those basics over to a university. I do worry that if they are going all the way down to the freshmen, I'm not sure that they are ready for the rigors. And so I would worry about quality at that point.
I'm with you there. I think at least at BISD, we put too much emphasis on dual enrollment. And I think, they had a number of 2,500 students, and now it's like 3,000 students. They're just growing, and they just think this is a great thing for our students. And quite frankly, I don't think it's a great thing for our students. I think having freshmen and sophomores taking dual enrollment classes is dual credit classes, because apparently there's a difference between dual enrollment and dual credit. Taking it right now is not really the smart thing. Not all of these students are getting their associate's degrees. Do they really? One of the classes that they have freshmen take is speech. And I argue speech is one of those fun classes you take in college to improve your, and speaking of BISD, they're calling me right now. I'm going to decline it. Just because I'm in an interview right now. Anyway, so I personally think it's not the right strategy for our students, and we really shouldn't be doing that. You being a TSC employee, well, not an employee, but a contract employee, I think that's how you do it. Were you teaching last spring, or during the summer during the pandemic at all, or no?
I was not teaching. The last time that I taught was in the fall of last year, so in fall of 2019.
I was going to ask, have any of your colleagues that are in your college that you teach at, whenever you are contracted to teach at, what are their opinion of the pandemic and the not the dual enrollment, but the distance learning that's going on right now for TSC students, and is it working?
Well, I'm going to tell you my perspective, right? So the first thing is that, I was doing some research, and I think that we all know this, that this virus has exposed a lot of inequalities, quite frankly. And there's a big digital divide. And I think that I was reading, even Cameron County is one of those that, from a broadband perspective, is really low. Like, the number of households that have broadband is incredibly low. And I think that's first of anything, do you have access? Do you have access to technology? Do you have access to broadband? Or, because I've heard things like, hey, students have to come and park on the parking lot, right? And things of this sort, which is not optimal. That's one thing. The second thing that I will say, and I'm experiencing that right now in my current job, because I do a lot of design and facilitating of professional development. And I can tell you that teaching, whether it's synchronous and asynchronous, and you have to make that decision on what makes the most sense. But teaching virtually and keeping the students engaged and making sure that there is rigor happening through this remote process is incredibly challenging. Not sure that, I can't speak whether or not there was enough professional development to prepare our staff to be able to ensure that the rigor was there. I'd like to think that there was. It was certainly a priority. I think that going to remote instruction was the right thing to do, and they did it early on, and I would agree with that decision. I just worry about quality. is rigor occurring in the same level? And I would have wanted for there to be choice for a student to determine, what works for me is synchronous, where I am logging in and I'm getting direct one-on-one instruction from the instructor, or I prefer to do an asynchronous where I can do it, on my time, right? Where you're going over videos and you don't actually have to log in at a certain time. That I do wish would have been a pivot that I would have liked to have seen. I think it would have been easier for our instructors. It would have been easier for our students to have that choice on what works best for their schedule. Is my perspective on distance learning. So digital divide, is there rigor, and this whole concept around synchronous versus asynchronous.
Manny, do you have a question, Manny?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I was going to ask you what. So is the campus now live, face-to-face teaching right now, or is it still the majority?
No, they decided. I think it was in June or July, early on, that this semester was going to be distance learning. But they gave the instructors, I believe, the choice to determine whether or not it was going to be synchronous or asynchronous. And I don't want to minimize that those two instructional approaches can vary in quality, and also it can be very difficult to keep students engaged.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm glad it's like some school, like our high school district is still not just a high school, but BISD is still a fight. And, most people would agree not to send the kids back. And I think what they did at a minimum, let's do the semester and then we'll figure something out after that, or we'll see what happens then.
So this may not be popular, but a lot of it has to do with funding at the end of the day. TEA sets funding, the state does, but through TDA, as you know, the way that schools are funded is primarily to this attendance, right? What they call ADA, average daily attendance. And the one that sets the guidelines is the TEA.
Right.
So when they are saying, well, you are risking funding, then I can certainly see why, school districts may be in a position to kind of step back and say, are we willing to risk funding for this or not? Whereas in TSC, it's not about average daily attendance for our colleges. That decision is a little bit easier. It's more about contact hours, and it's more about, there's an allocation that they do, and then this student quality points or something like that. There's some formula, but it's not necessarily tied to average daily attendance. Having said that, I believe that there's a strong correlation, certainly in our high schools, right, around attendance and student achievement, but it also extends to our college. And I know that I would structure my class in a way to incentivize students to come into my class day in, day out, because at the end of the day, you cannot learn if you're not in my class.
Yeah. One of the things, you're running for a TSC spot. There are 7 people on the board. Many of them have been there for a number of years and running for, I guess, a 3rd or a 4th term, which I think there needs to be some sort of term limit set for TSC. I don't know if that's even a board policy that can be set for term limits on the board. If that is, would you be able to support term limits on the board, or is that something that the board can't do?
I don't know whether it's something that they can do, but I can tell you that I'm 100% in support of term limits across the board.
Yeah.
So much so that I've even said, to me, I think a 6-year term is plenty. I mean, for you to do what you want to do. And
I think we may have lost him for a second.
But just know that when I serve that term, it's going to be in your best interest. I'm not going to be worrying about, re-election. I'm not going to be worried about, I don't take any campaign contributions. So I'm going to be a good financial steward of your hard-earned dollars.
Yeah. One of you referenced not taking any campaign contributions. So you are right now, no vendors are giving you any money. You're not getting any money from any of the book vendors or anything like that. It's 100% your money that you're doing for this campaign.
I am doing the bare bones like campaign. I've only pledged up to $500, so I have to figure out, what is the best allocation. Just like TSC needs to figure out how to lower tuition, how to get more students through college and up the persistence rate. I have to figure out a way to put my message, within that allocated budget. But no, at the end of the day, I mean, that's something that is like value to me. Like that's my moral. If I'm big in campaign finance report altogether, then it would be like hypocritical for me to start accepting donations, because quite frankly, I've seen what it can do. And it's not pretty. And I would rather lose in a landslide than to give anybody the impression that they have leverage over the decisions that I will be making on behalf of the community.
Yeah, one of the things that I've noticed is I don't believe Texas Southmost College posts any of the campaign finance reports for the office holders or the candidates for these races online. And I think we're in a digital age now. I think it would behoove TSC to put them on there. I don't know who on the board doesn't support this, but would you support doing a board policy that puts all the campaign finance reports of candidates and office holders online for everybody to see?
100%. Yeah. We need total transparency. Absolutely. Yes, of course.
One of your opponents,
not only to this board, everywhere.
Yeah. One of your opponents is spending, a lot of money putting up ads and Facebook ads and just spending a lot of money. And does money in campaigns troubles you when somebody's spending this amount of money to get into a position that's unpaid?
It does. I mean, I'm going to go back to, our parents and grandparents had these infusions of wisdom through refranes or sayings or things of this sort. And one that sticks from my father, which I can tell you a whole story on why I'm passionate about education actually is through him, is he would say, it's like, hey, todo pueblo merece el gobierno que tiene, which was confusing to me at the time. Out of all the refranes, that's the one, because I'm like, no, they deserve better, right? Our community deserves better. But I mean, his point, I take his point, right? If we're saying that we value, the one that is most popular, the ones that has the most advertising, then I mean, that's what you're going to get. Or somebody that is politically connected, then you're going to get a politically connected board. Yeah. And I'm not your guy. If that's what you value and is that what you're looking for in a candidate, I'm not your guy. It's just not what I believe in. It's not what I am going to do. What I can do is share with you my thoughts, my experience, and why I think I'm uniquely qualified to serve on the board. But yeah, it does trouble me. I can't do it. I just.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Do it. I mean, I can do it, but I just cannot do that because I don't believe. And I think that I would come out as a hypocrite if I do.
Yeah, I'm tired of politically connected people being at TSC. TSC, there isn't a lot of there isn't a big spotlight on what's happening at TSC. It's not one of these big boards. So you get politically connected people that just get in there and use it as a stepping stone to go up, or you get people that are there forever and don't want to leave because they feel like this is their only power and their only semblance to relevancy in our community or political community. And so I'm troubled by that. So I'm glad that you're calling for a fresh idea, a fresh approach. Is there you in one of your platforms or planks in your platforms, you talk about diversity on the board and how that's important. Could you expound on that particular plank? Because I'm interested in that.
So I think it's around that concept of no echo chambers, right? And I think that a lot of the times that does happen. And that there's there's a lot of TED Talks and things of this sort, which is a component that we also include in my classes. But this lady talks about, when you have this diversity of, first of all, diverse teams outperform homogeneous teams. I mean, the data is clear. But she kind of comes around that, like, when you have this, first of all, a foundation of trust, that everybody is in there for the right reasons, right, and have the best interest of the college in mind. And I'm not here to say that that's not occurring now, because that wouldn't be a fair characterization. But what I can tell you, when you have the back and forth, right, the deliberation and ideas, this is when we do our best thinking. I mean, she calls it thinking, playing the devil's advocate, pushing our thoughts, doing those, like, the big, hairy, audacious goals that we have, being visionaries. And a lot of the times that can't happen. That deliberation may not happen if somebody help you onto the board, or, and again, I'm not, everybody has, I imagine that everybody's running for, what they believe in. But to me, I don't see that deliberation happening, and therefore we may not be doing our best thinking. And therefore, I think that it's important to have a really diverse board, to be able to push our thinking. At the end of the day, what we want and what we need is a more perfect college district union. Remember, this is your community college. You pay through it through sales tax, property tax, income tax, tuition and fees, right? So that's my thought around this diversity of board, but it's really more about no echo chambers.
Yeah, I can understand that. Hey, Ray, and if y'all, those of you that are watching us, whether on YouTube or watching us on Facebook, please, and you're watching us live, please give us your questions for Mr. Guevara. Me and Manny are all alone, so we'd love to have your help and give us good questions. I'm sure Mr. Guevara would appreciate it. One of the components of a community college is not just getting people in the door, getting their associate's degree so they can go and get a bachelor's degree. It's also getting maybe not terminal degrees, but technical certificates.
Sure.
Is there some particular field that you want to focus in on, whether it's nursing, whether it's robotics, whether it's mechanics? What field do you think TSC needs to grow in so that we can improve the workforce in our community?
So it's a great question. So first of all, I do believe that the nursing program, even though it got off track there for a while, I've seen the X-ray labs. As a matter of fact, I was part of it, doing all of that installation of those facilities there. So they have a fairly robust program, I believe, in nursing. One of the things that I think that we just need to think about, and I teach this in my class also, this concept of disruptive technologies. Right, because there's a lot of technologies on the cusp. So think renewable energies, think battery technologies, think 3D printers, and the way that all of these things, that's future looking, right? And I know that there's a place for all the other technical that we have, and that there is a place for that. I'm not minimizing that, but I certainly would like to see something that is more on more future looking. Like this, just 3 examples that I gave you. Renewable energy, we're not doing much there yet. I mean, just look at the number of wind turbines. I mean, we have 1 wind turbine there at iTech, as a matter of fact. But I mean, just look around how much wind turbine. I know that they're doing this welding program that is maybe aligned to our LNGs that are about to explode. What can we do with SpaceX? I don't know. I don't know about that. But what I do know is that battery technologies, renewable energy, whether it's solar, whether it's wind turbine, all of those things are things that I feel we need to prioritize. And that's what I would like to see. Coding, cybersecurity, all of these newer technologies. Or else you're going to find yourself like Blockbuster, right? It's like, and we certainly don't want to have that. We've all seen situations where the technology outpaces what we're offering. And I think that that's also important to make sure that we're setting a really clear, longer-term strategic vision on where we are imagining this college to be, not only this year, 5 years, 10 years from now.
Do you have any board members right now that are supporting your campaign at all, or that you haven't asked them, or they're not in? They're busy supporting somebody else?
I can't speak. So no, I have not necessarily approached them. Again, if I do get the privilege to serve, I wanted to be on my own merits, first of all. But second, I mean, again, I can't speak to who they're supporting. It's certainly not me, or not in a direct way. I should say, not in a direct way. And so no, I can't say that I necessarily. I know them as I spent 4 years there as a director and then as executive director of facilities. So I certainly had interactions with the board, whether it's through those committees that they have, subcommittees, and certainly, I mean, there's a lot of video there on when and how I present to the board. But that's my relationship with them has always been professional, and certainly not political.
No, nothing wrong with that. Manny, you have any questions?
Now, I was going to wait till after rapid fire.
Okay, well, I guess maybe that we should start rapid fire. You ready for rapid fire questions? Okay,
Sure.
Rapid fires, you get 2 minutes of rapid fire questions. These are random, completely random questions. A couple of them might be geared towards you specifically. And hopefully we'll get some people that are watching us can give us their own rapid fire questions. And we'll do this for about 2 minutes. So it's 2 minutes of rapid fire.
Like first thing that comes to my mind, or what?
Yeah, first thing comes to your mind. It's not complicated. Favorite color. Hey, Linda, how you doing, Linda? Favorite color, orange or blue?
Caribbean blue.
Oh, okay. Okay. Iron Man or Batman?
Gotta go with Iron Man.
Okay. Favorite TSC board member, past or present?
Gee, Mayor Mendez.
Mayor Mendez, yeah, good choice. I like him too. Probably my favorite too. Since you're from Zapata County originally, Emiliano Zapata or Pancho Villa?
No, Emiliano Zapata. Arriba Zapatistas.
Linda, NSYNC or Backstreet Boys?
Holy smokes, that goes way back. Backstreet Boys is the only one that comes to mind. But I'm more of like Intocable.
Okay, it's okay.
They're from my hometown. So.
Okay, this next question. Better Gabriel, Ana Gabriel or Juan Gabriel?
Juan Gabriel, hands down. I mean, I think that we're learning to appreciate him now after his passing. But like as a composer and as a singer, one of the best in the world.
Yeah. All right. Intocable or Signo? I don't know. I'll just give you that.
Intocable. No question.
All right. Better interviewer, Erasmo Castro or me?
My God. Both equally.
There you go. Good answer.
Equally effective.
And if you have any rapid fire questions, feel free to put them in the comments, Linda or Ray, or Time Traveler. This is the question I always have to ask on behalf of Zach Cantu of KURV. His sponsored question: cake or pie?
Tres leches cake. That qualifies for a cake, right? I never knew.
Okay, here's a good one. There you go. Time Traveler always has a good one. Wing Barn or Wing Stop?
So Wing Barn for proximity, Wing Stop for taste.
Oh, wow. That's a good. Ooh, all right. All right. This is Zach. Oh, chess or checkers? Ray has to ask that
question. Outstanding questions. 3-dimensional chess for sure.
3D chess. Okay. Right Twix or left Twix?
Zurdo. I always wanted to be left-handed because I thought I would play better baseball, and I could never pull it off. Left Twix.
Okay, left Twix. Okay. Any other question, guys? Oh, Star Trek, Star Wars. Star Trek, Star Wars. Which one?
As a youth, Star Wars. As an adult, Star Trek.
Oh, wow.
So I was a big Yoda fan back in the late 70s, I think.
All right.
But boy, those new Star Trek are really good.
Well, who's fascinating? A Yoda or Spock? Or Spock.
I gotta go with Yoda.
Yoda, yeah. I think so too. I like Yoda a little bit more than I do Spock. I don't know why. Well, and you have successfully passed through the rapid fire questions. You win nothing other than the fact that you succeeded in not dying during rapid fire. All right. Well, man, it's okay. Congratulations. You always get the first question after rapid fire. What's your question?
Yep, the $1 million question. And I hope I wasn't taking this away from Roman later, but it's the typical question. Why you? Why should someone select you? What makes you more qualified? Or, why should I vote for you instead of your opponent?
I think that's an excellent question, and I'm glad that, part of why I like to go to shows like this is that, the importance of having the community vet candidates, incredibly important, right? I think that this election is going to be the most consequential election of our lifetimes, and it's incredibly important that you vote up and down the ballot, all the way down, all the way up. Imagine and because of COVID, all of these things also align. So we have, board elections, B&D elections, state elections, national elections, TSC elections. Boy, let's put in the Little League in there and all of that. So the most consequential election of our lifetimes. Look, these are your hard-earned dollars. This is kind of like the third time that I said that. And you deserve a highly qualified individual. And for me, one of the values that I have is every single election should be contested by qualified candidates. Mm-hmm. Every single one. I really dislike, or it really disheartens me when there's elections that go unopposed, right? That is really disheartening. That means that we're not, we don't have a community that is engaged in that way. I had a marketing professor at SMU in Dallas. So I got my MBA there in finance. And he talked a lot about economy of words, right? You have to be really precise in economy of words, particularly for this. And it's not about slogans, but it's you need to really use that. So it's and he would mention that, hey, it has to fit in a trucker's hat, which, there's a lot of that going on, right? But it's okay, I get it. So it's okay, well, let me bottom line this for you, right? In me, you're going to get a problem solver, right, with financial acumen, experience in the operations of the college, inside and outside the classroom. And when I say problem solver, it's my engineering background, not only my degree from A&M, but the 15 years in the manufacturing where we are trained to, get the line as efficient as possible, to sniff out waste, to be strategic in the decisions that we make. Financial acumen, I have a finance degree, an advanced finance degree from SMU, which is a tier 1 institution of higher learning. And more important, I teach. This is what I teach at the community college. I love numbers. I've had budgets in the maquilas in the millions of dollars. I managed the budget at the college, $5 million as a director or executive director of facility. So I know the budget and I can dissect it, the revenue side and how we are spending that money. And then experience in the operations inside and outside the classroom. I have the perspective of the student and the staff, whether it's full-time staff, whether it's adjuncts, whether it's the students. I've been teaching, for 4 or 5 years now. So I have that perspective. It's been a decade in education, and I'm also experienced on the outside of the classroom. So I've been in the roofs. I've been in the attics. I've been in the trenches. I've been turning the wrenches in the trenches with all the facilities guys. Saludos a todos los de mantenimiento. So, you're not going to tell. If there's a project that comes in, I know it. I know this campus. I know how majestic it is, all the historical. But quite frankly, I also know its inefficiencies, and there is some. And we should be comfortable. We should be comfortable to be uncomfortable that there's still some gaps that we need to close. And that you're not going to get in. I'm not a politician, and I'm not looking to be one. I'm not in this to fit in or anything like that. So what I can tell you is that I feel I'm uniquely qualified to serve. And that student that called me out, I'm doing this for you, along with everybody in the community, so that we can all get engaged and at the end of the day, perfect our college district union.
Yeah, that's a fine answer. That's actually really a very, very fine answer. And the reason I've been a candidate, I've been a student in politics for a long time. I understand this community fairly well, even though I'm not, much like you, I'm not originally from Brownsville, or in this part of the valley. The issue that we have here is compadrismo. and people would prefer having the person that has the, oh wow, she has a pretty smile, so I'm going to vote for her, or he has a good head of hair, I'm going to vote for that person. And this particular election is going to be unlike any. Like I have a lot of hair, but it's very, very gray in a lot of spots. So I give Trey a big hard time because he's losing his hair, and I'm like, look, I still have some hair, but at least you don't have any gray hair, Trey. The thing is we settle. And with this election, it's going to be the first election for TSC being in a presidential race.
Yep.
You're looking at potentially 40, 50,000 people voting in this race. And I say that because you have Brownsville. Brownsville's going to have about 35,000 people voting alone. They account for about half the voting population in the county in every presidential year. They just do. And you're going to include Los Fresnos, South Padre, and PI, like Vista, all those areas, Rancho Viejo, all those areas, that may not be 15,000, but so maybe it won't be 40, 50,000. It may be 40, 45,000 people that are voting in this race. I fear for you, and I fear for people who don't have the money and the resources to be able to do the mail outs, to do the block walking, to do the pachangas, to do all that stuff. It's going to be whatever. Oh yeah, I saw her sign on the side of the road. I'm going to vote for that person, and it's going to be very, very difficult. I would encourage you to talk to Remy Garza in terms of where how the ballot is going to be split out. But I can tell you, we're going to have Remy either this week or next week, actually,
sure,
to talk about the election. But my understanding is the ballot is going to be one whole ballot. So a person is going to go in, and they're not going to have to sit there and choose whether or not to vote in the TSC race, the BISD race, the port race, and the general election. They're just going to sign once. Here's your ballot. It's all going to be on there. So are people going to go in and vote just for president, or are they going to go in and vote for the other plate races? What are you doing to encourage people to say, you need to vote in this race, and this is why you need to vote for me, considering you don't have the money or you're not spending the money to be able to get those signs out, to get those mail outs, to get the phone banking?
So that's the $1 million question. Like typically, in TSC, you have, I don't know, 3,000, 4,000, something like that. That is very manageable. That, the employees, I worked at TSC for 4 years. So the employees, the staff members know me there. And that was kind of my calculation. Look, hey, I have TSC members or TSC staff members that know me well. I have students that know, at least the ones that have passed through my class that know me well. Certainly at that point, this was pre-COVID, of course, because originally it was going to be in May. I felt like it was manageable to be able to make the case, to a body of 3,000 without any, a large amount of funds. So I realized that this is an incredibly uphill battle. I'm not naive to that fact. But nonetheless, that still does not mean that Brownsville deserves qualified candidates on the ballot. And this is my challenge, and sometimes I wonder, maybe I should sink thousands of dollars, and it really does not sit well with me, that determination. So I'm just banking on like these shows. How do I get my message out? How do I get share my qualifications with everybody? And quite frankly, let them make an informed decision on who they think is better qualified to serve. But like I said, if you vote for me, just know that there is no contributions that you're going to see. That the decisions that I will be making there are strictly and only on your behalf. And come re-election time, that's it. It's my time I served my 6 years. This is not a 2-year term or 4-year term. This is 6-year terms at TSC. And at that point, let's inject new talent to the pool to be able to cement that diversity of ideas. But Roman, you hit it on the nail. That is $1 million question for me. And I just cannot do it. I can't sink $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 of what it potentially would take to be able to get my faces out there. Just my conscience won't let me do that, and my beliefs in money out of politics, and politics out of boards will not let me go there. So,
yeah, no, I understand. And that'll be a decision. it's a decision we all have to make when we're running for office. I made the similar decision. It didn't work out in my favor to a certain extent. Obviously, I didn't win, but best of luck to you. I hope you will come back on our show again. This is more of like an introduction. This is what I want to do for our community. And again, this is not just open to you. This is open to any candidate that wants to come on the show, even people that I don't necessarily like. And the reason is because and I've said this before, and I've said this, and I'll continue to say this. We're not having the pachangas that we normally do. We're not having the debates that we normally do, or the forums that we normally have to allow you candidates to be able to get your voice across. I know that if I get somebody who's running for office and knocking on my door, they're not getting my vote. I don't want them knocking on my door.
Sure.
So it's very difficult in this coronavirus, in this pandemic situation. And so this is what we're trying to do. And again, you're more than welcome to come back again. So are your opponents, so is anybody else.
Sure.
My final question, it's always my final question, it's the Kim Wyatt question. Is there anything that we didn't discuss, or a question that me or Manny didn't ask you, that you feel that you want to answer right now?
No, I mean, I think that we talked really specifically on the two major challenges that I think you allowed me to express: lower tuition, higher graduation rates at the end of the day. You let me express my qualifications in terms of my problem-solving abilities through my experience, and my financial acumen through my education and also my experiences. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here and share. And, a couple of things that, if you allow me to just kind of close. So the first thing that I want to say is that, COVID-19 is a real thing. It's still a real thing. I think that we got some notice that in several states it's coming back up. I think as a nation it climbed, after weeks of declining. So we may be getting that resurgence from after Labor Day potentially. So just stay safe, wear a mask, and follow the science to combat this virus. A couple of other things like vote. Make sure that you vote. This is the most consequential election in our lifetimes, and make sure that you vote across, up and down. And so I'm glad that this is lined up and that we get a large turnout. We have to flex our muscle here in the Rio Grande Valley, right? And I hope it's 50,000-60,000 that come out to vote, even if most of them are not ever going to heard of who Antonio Guevara is. But nonetheless, as a community, we need that. Fill the census. We cannot minimize that just simple task and what implications that has. So just a plug for all of those to make sure that you are filling the census, because it's incredibly important for the funding, for the schools, for our parks, it has a lot of implications. Stay safe, vote, fill out the census.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, we have 9 more days to be able to fill out that census, and it's humongously important for reapportionment when it comes to what the legislature will do next year, and what will happen for the city. Our city will redistrict all the 4 districts. The county itself will also redistrict those precincts. So knowing who we have and how many people we have will be vitally important. So please fill out the census. We haven't really talked about that. And that's one of the reasons why I want to have Trey on the show. We're still working on that schedule for him. And so we can talk about the census and the importance of it. Manny, who do we have on the show for tomorrow? Tomorrow we don't, I think.
Yeah, we're pending actually for the rest of the week, just trying to get confirmations in. So hopefully we'll find out by tomorrow morning.
Yeah, for sure. We are not having a show on Wednesday. Just so everybody knows, we will not be having a show, whether it's 7:30 or our Real Politics, Real Talk, Real Late show on Wednesday. It's a day off. Both me and Manny will be busy that day, so we can't do the show. And so stay tuned to our channel, to our Facebook page, as to who we'll have for tomorrow. For sure. I know Thursday we're supposed to have Argelia Miller. That I do know for Thursday. And Friday, we're still pending. Manny's going to let me know. Manny's our schedule. And if you are a candidate or an office holder that would like to come on Real Politics, you do not have to be just Amir Brazil. We've interviewed judges and justices from Hidalgo County. We've interviewed people from San Benito. So anybody up and down the valley, up and down the Rio, please join us. And please feel free to come on and contact Manny via our Facebook page or his personal Facebook page. So that's it for our thing. We don't have any announcements other than we'll see, I guess, tomorrow at 7:30 at night with us, I guess, some surprise guests we don't know just yet. God bless you all. And good. This is Real Politics Live. We don't make the news. We just help you see it. God bless.
That's right. Mr. Guevara, stay with us right now.